Hello, and welcome. Welcome once again to the Secrets of the High Demand Coach podcast. And I am here with a pair of high demand coaches. We have the two and only Mike Schmidt and AJ Rivera Sr. They're the dynamic duo behind AgencyCoach, a coaching team using real world experience and expertise. Mike started his agency, Anchor Wave, in 2003 when digital marketing was in its infancy. His vision of the future, turned into a thriving multi-million-dollar 20-member agency that has built over 2,000 websites and hundreds of digital marketing campaigns. AJ brought his corporate sales experience to Anchorwave in 2008. AJ is renowned for his innovative sales strategies and abundance thinking approach, which led the agency to win multiple awards. In 2017, Mike and AJ combined their knowledge and practical wisdom to mentor and guide agency owners worldwide. Well, gentlemen, welcome to the show. So excited to have you on. So excited to dive into some of what you're doing with your clients right now. And that's actually where I want to start. What would you say is some of the most important work you do for your clients?
Yeah, Scott, really excited to be here with you today. The clients that we work with are typically web design, digital marketing agency owners that find themselves in a struggle to get themselves out of the predicament they find themselves in. And that predicament we touched on just before going live here, which was they own a job and not a true business, right? That many of us get into business in the first place because we think we could do it better, we think we can make more money, and we want to make an impact. But what ends up happening is we end up designing the most elaborate prison possible, which is this job that we don't make enough, we spend too much time on, and it makes you wonder why we jumped in the first place. And the truth is, business is a game that we get to play, but more importantly, it's one we each get to design. And I think a lot of folks forget that when jumping into business, or they just don't know that in the first place. And so I'd say the main thing that we're helping these agencies with is helping them design a business that serves their lives and serves their purpose. So that way they can have all the benefits of being a business owner as opposed to being a job owner.
Yeah, it's so true. It's funny. There's a couple of questions that I found in helping a lot of founders that kind of drive their journey, right? That first one is, there's a better way, right? Isn't there a better way? And then the second one, which you hit on, once we get into the game, it's like, what was I thinking, right? Like, what in the world was I thinking doing this? How do you help folks to kind of move from that? Because oftentimes we can be in that early mode when your job is really humming. It can feel like it's all you can do to just get your nose above water, right? To get a little breath of air, and then you're just back in it again. How do you help them to get out of that kind of hustle and grind every single moment to really take the time they need to design the business they want?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's really accurate that we design this game in a way that doesn't really serve our needs or what we're looking for, right? I think many agencies that we help are caught in what we call the feast and famine mode, right? Feast and famine cycle, right? Where, there's periods of time where there's a lot of money coming in and they're really happy and things are going well, followed by times where they're not sure where the next check coming from and they're worried about that, right? And the main reason that happens is because we're saying yes to everything and we're doing all the work ourselves, right? I think agency owners are some of the most resourceful people on the planet. When Mike and I were growing up in this, like there wasn't a college degree for it. It was just like something we went and figured out because we were passionate about it, right? And it's that resourcefulness that I think can sometimes hurt an agency owner because they can do everything, right? Or they'll figure out how to do it. And, I always say, like, imagine if a realtor had to build every house that they sold. They're probably not going to sell a lot of houses, right? But that's what agency owners do all the time is they go sell something and then they do all the work themselves. And guess what? While they're doing all the work, nobody's out there marketing and selling and filling the pipeline. And they don't realize that until this job's coming to an end and now there's nothing left there, right? And so we help them to really identify ways that maybe they can start to take off some of the hats, hand over other responsibilities to, partners that can help deliver on the services that they're selling so that they can focus their time and energy on scaling on the business, building out the processes, selling that next customer, doing the marketing and those things. And that keeps that cycle kind of away and it kind of keeps a steady flow of cash flow coming in.
Yeah. I love that. One of the fears I've found, and I've experienced this myself through a couple of businesses, and I see it all the time with the founders I work with, is, I don't know that they can do it as well as me, right? I don't know, if I hand it off, it's like, this is my name on this business, and they're representing me. So how do you help folks do they overcome that? Do they just learn to live with it? What's been your experience in the space?
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like a muscle that you got to practice, right? Like, those of you guys who try to do pull-ups, right? And you've never done a pull-up before, even just doing one, is considered a win, right? And you might do one every single day for a week before you can get the second one in. I think delegation is kind of a similar situation. And what I find is that, when I'm looking at this, it's like, there's two factors. One is the fear of somebody messing it up or not doing it as well. And then I think the other component is, well, I got to pay this other person. It's just easier to do it myself, and I don't have to share the money with anyone. And I think the first part is recognizing in a bigger picture that's short-term thinking. And that's the kind of thinking that actually creates the prison that I mentioned earlier, like really traps you inside of the business that you created. And so my advice to folks that are struggling with that is two things. First, when it comes to the quality, I like to pick something that is so small, right? If there's a big task to be done, what's the smallest component that you can hand over and prove to yourself that someone can do that, right? And it may not be that, useful, right? You hand over something small, but when you can start to stack these small little Lego pieces up and start to build that belief, that's important. But because it's so small, the challenge is, because it's so small, you might just never do it in the first place. Or it's something where that practiced over and over again starts to build that confidence. And we need to find examples of where folks can do these things right and can follow that. And I think when it comes to the money side of things, right, that you're worried about, how do I afford this? We need to look at, what are you asking your clients to invest today with you such that you can afford those things? I think people wait too long to raise their rates, right? They think, well, this is what I need to make. But when you're determining what you're asking your clients to invest, I like to pretend as if I had this big team right now today that I'm hiring. I just happen to be filling several of those roles and wearing several of those hats, right? Yeah. But if you wait to the point where I need to hand this off, but I can't afford it, that's a really difficult position to be in.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. So as agency owners set off on this journey of moving from job to business, what have you found are some of the biggest challenges that they face?
One of the biggest challenges is that they haven't put enough focus on recurring revenue. This was a lesson that we had to learn many years into business. We went out there chasing large one-time projects that had a lot of cash that came in at one time, but then guess what? That's gone the next day, and you're starting every month at zero again, which is, in sales, a horrible feeling, right? Like, as we started to add more and more team members, like that fence went higher and higher and higher that we had to climb, and it's more and more stressful when you're starting at zero. And it wasn't until Mike and I really started digging into this that we had our accountant run a report that looked at like our top 20 clients for the past 5 years. And I was wholeheartedly expecting it to be this casino that we built this website for. There was like a 6-figure website to be number one. Guess what? It was like barely in the top 20. But guess who was number one? It was this orthodontist that had been paying us $2,000 a month for the last 5 years. And it was an AC company that had been paying us $2,000 for the last 5 years. And that completely changed our mindset, because I was out there looking for the big whales, right? I was looking for those big one-time projects when those weren't the ones that were really moving the needle for us. So once we were able to just switch our mindset and really focus on those services and going after those clients that could actually purchase ongoing recurring digital marketing services, that's when our world changed. Because guess what? It didn't take very long before we got to a month that instead of starting at zero, we were starting with all of our bills paid, all of our payroll paid, enough to put money in our pocket. And that changes everything, because now, we could work on the things that we need to work on to scale instead of having to try to do Hail Mary marketing campaigns, or we could hire people to help, because we were confident that we had the money to do so. We could invest in equipment. We could say no to projects that weren't a good fit and that we knew weren't a good fit, but, with the times that we needed money, guess what? If somebody had a credit card in hand, And they're like, do you do an e-commerce site? And we're like, we don't really like those, but you know what? Like, I need this to close, so we'll take it, right? And we don't never get much of those, and those are the big headache, and those are the things that are hard to delegate. And so I would just say, man, building recurring revenue from day one in your business and knowing that that's your focus, that will save you from so much heartache and running your business in the future.
It's so true. It's so true. We've all been at a place where it's like, do you? Yes. It's like, can I finish my sentence first? No, we got this. You know.
Yeah, we call that commission breath. There's a guy on our team that used to be in car sales. He's like, yeah, if you got commission breath, you're gonna say yes to anything, right? And probably discount it too.
That's so true. And yeah, that feeling, if anyone hasn't had that feeling of starting the month with revenue already, right? It's transformational. It seems like a simple thing, but it's a massive, massive shift. I love that you guys focus in on that. Brings me to the next question here. What are some of the key areas that you find yourself focusing on with your clients again and again and again for each one?
Yeah, I mean, there's really a couple key areas that that folks who are coming into our world are struggling with. And a lot of them think that the problem is leads, right? You know, you ask most businesses on the planet, like what their biggest need is right now, and they'll say, I just need more leads. I need more leads. And while that's true, leads are the lifeblood of any business. The truth is that, you know, there's a big difference between leads and prospects, right? Leads are people who are kind of top of the funnel, unqualified. Maybe they've expressed some interest, but they're definitely not in your sales process. Where a prospect is someone who is in the sales process. They've been qualified. And one of the things that kind of be a recurring theme for us is helping people understand the difference between those two things, because, you know, the leads are abundant. They're everywhere, right? There's so many people that could do business with you. But the question is, once they become a lead, how do you get them to raise their hand and ask you for help, right? I think most of us could probably agree that, you know, there's a big difference between me saying, hey, Scott, I can help you with this thing. You should buy this thing for me, versus you saying to me, hey, Mike, I understand you do this particular thing. Can you help me? Right. And I think we'd probably agree. I like the second one a lot more. And so a lot of our coaching and training is about not just about generating leads, but it's how do you get someone to raise their hand and ask for your help? How do you create a relationship with people? Because, you know, if you've ever run advertising and you stopped it because it didn't work, right? Chances are is it probably generated leads, but the thing that you were looking for was customers and prospects and people in that sales pipeline. And the big piece we'll focus in on is how to move someone from leads into prospects.
That's fantastic. It's so true. So, gentlemen, there's a question I like to ask all my guests. I'm going to ask it of each of you. So we'll start with you, Mike. What would you say is the biggest secret you wish just wasn't a secret at all? What's that one thing you wish everybody watching or listening today knew?
So I kind of touched on it a little bit already, but I'll kind of say it again, is that business is a game that we get to play, but more importantly, it's a game that we each get to design. And I'll say that the days that I've struggled the most and the hardest days in business where I'm like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just going to go up in a hot dog cart, or I'm going to go get a job or whatever, right? Throwing in the towel, were the days that I forgot that I'm actually in control of how this whole thing works. And yes, there's market conditions, and yes, there's things outside of our control. But the secret that I think most businesses and agency owners being in this category, I think I want them to know to the bottom of their hearts, is that if your business isn't serving you, then there are different ways that you can run your business, and you're in charge of changing that. No one is going to come in here and save you. No one's going to come here and change it for you. You just have to decide to say, this is the way I want to play it. And you will attract folks who want to play your game the way you've designed it.
That's so good. All right, AJ, you're up. Same question. What's the biggest secret you wish wasn't a secret at all?
I think the biggest secret for me is just that you're always the bottleneck in your business, right? I tend to think that entrepreneurship's like the purest form of personal development, and because, man, you've got to grow a lot in order to run a successful business, and you're going to have to keep evolving and growing. And the times that I've kind of plateaued and not felt like I was going where I wanted were probably the times where I wasn't working enough on myself. And the times where we were really growing is when I was recognizing that I needed to develop new skill sets, right? Like what got you here isn't going to get you there. And you've got to always be looking for that thing that you're lacking, or be willing to hire somebody that can help with that thing that you're lacking in order to be able to make it to that next level.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, I know there's some folks listening to this, and as you guys are speaking, they're just like, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. It's the right word at the right time. They want to connect with you. Where can they find more out about you guys and learn about the help that you offer?
Awesome. So we put together a quick page at agencycoach.com/secrets that you can grab a free training on building more recurring revenue in your business and your agency. Something that we typically reserve for some of our students inside of our programs that we're making available for free for listeners here. And then if anybody wants to reach out, I'm always active and available on Instagram at Mr. Mike Schmidt. Just drop me a message, say hello, let's network, let's get to know one another, and let me know how I can serve you.
Fantastic.
Yes, and we've got our new website launching at agencycoach.com as well. If you're just interested in kind of checking that out, that's going live today.
Awesome. Right. Brilliant. Well, check it out. agencycoach.com/secrets. Get a copy of that resource. Fantastic stuff. I had a chance to browse around the site. Looks phenomenal. Tons of resources. You guys did a great job with that. And those of you listening will absolutely love what you find there. Mike, AJ, thanks so much for being on the show. Just a privilege and honor having you guys here. And for those of you watching and listening today, you know your time and attention mean the world to us. I hope you got as much out of this conversation as I know I did. And I cannot wait to see you next time. Take care.